What's going on, y'all? My name's Charlie, and welcome to Go Fast Nation. This is episode 2 of Tales from a Bygone Age. Why am I filming an intro here? Well, forgot to do it in the garage. My dad and I were just jamming stories back and forth, and anyway, here's episode 2. Enjoy. So it was, what was it, a 2003?
Yeah, I think it was. 2003, 350Z.
Yeah, 03, 04, something like that. I remember you called me. I was still stationed at Fort Irwin. Like, it was shortly after I joined the Army. And I remember the phone call. You said, I fucked up. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I just bought a brand new 350Z.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I remember that. That was a pretty funny phone call.
Yeah, the problem is it wasn't new for very long. I tore it completely apart. And
so you bought it specifically to road race.
Yeah.
But you street drove that thing everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could get away with that for SCCA, you know. And it was as long as you change the tires and everything, I would take the tires off and put good tires with street tires on it.
Yeah, and you carried all your tools and your spares in the back of a 350Z.
Everything.
We would. I remember I met you one time after you had the car pretty much built, version 1 of the build anyway. I met you in California. Where was that? Rosemont. We went to Rosemont. We raced on.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of that school.
It wasn't Laguna. No, it was Willow Springs.
Yeah, Willow Springs.
Willow Springs. I met you at Willow Springs, and that's when I had my 07 GTI, and I road raced it with you. But that's after you had the car built. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the parking lot of the hotel, you're jacking that thing up, pulling the jack out of the back of a race car, putting your race tires on, driving to the track, and then we just went and had fun with it.
Yeah.
But how did it start? Like, what was the first thing you did to it?
Well, let me think about it. I think I began. You have to do the cage first. You have to cage it. So
you just went straight for the cage, just weight reduction and cage right off the bat.
Yeah, cage, weight reduction. And the front suspension had to be changed a little bit, so we could, get around the corner. And also the rear suspension had to be changed dramatically too. I mean, I had you buy a huge adjustable sway bar for the front, and you had to play with it a little bit. And then the rear end, it was the same deal. We had to do a lot to the rear, but
the suspension you had on that thing was insane. I remember it was like 4-way adjustable on each corner.
Yeah,
something like that. What was the brand of that?
Oh no, I don't. It's been a long time.
All I know is that it was extremely expensive, and you told me to get it for my GTI, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, but yeah, so we did all that stuff to it, and it was all done. But then the most important part of it, but the most difficult part of it, was the engine. I started out with, as usual.
Really? Hang on. Are you done with fucking jackwagon, honking his horn and yelling and shit?
Oh, okay.
5 minutes later.
So suspension's all done, and then it was time to do the engine. That's the hardest part, because of the heating issues and everything else in a 240Z. I ended up with 750 horsepower, twin turbos on it.
Jesus. When I drove that thing, it was at 6 something.
No, it was 550 when you drove it, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because it was twin turboed when I drove it, but you didn't go all ham with it. Yeah, it was turboed when I drove it.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is we met at Buttonwillow. No, that was Roseman. That was the race I was talking about. We met in Roseman, and I raced my GTI. Then you got the bright idea, and you said, "Hey, let's go to Vegas," because it was only a few hours from where we were. I was like, "All right."
Road trip! Vegas!
But then you told me that your back can't handle driving that far in a race car. So I said, all right, drive my mostly stock GTI and I'll take the race car to Vegas.
We had a little race on the way there, didn't we?
Yeah. Turns out that between California and Las Vegas, there's a section of Mexico that I was in when this C6, brand new C6 Corvette comes up next to me while I was driving this thing. And while I was driving, I'm just cruising, having a good time. This C6 rolls up next to me, and he's giving me the, hey, yeah, let's run it. I'm like, no, because my dad is right behind me in my car, and I'm in his race car, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna get my ass chewed, but I said, fine. So I give him the nod, and I grabbed fourth gear in a twin turbo 350Z that weighed what?
Oh God, that thing only weighed 2,800 pounds.
So a 2,800 pound car pushing 550 horsepower, twin turbo through a stock, mostly VQ 35, and this Corvette had no clue. All he saw was a 350Z with a little spoiler on the back, loud exhaust and wheels. So I grab fourth gear, and he takes off. I nail it in fourth, and by the time I wind out fourth, I'm passing him, and right about the top of fourth gear was when I was next to his open window. Grabbed fifth, and all he heard was choo 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 choo. I grab fifth, ran it out, grabbed sixth, and this dude comes up next to me, and he's giving me the thumbs up, and then the next thing I know, you call me, and I about crap my pants, man. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to rip me apart. But the only question you had was, what did this gauge say? How much boost was that? What was the oil temp? What was the oil pressure? How much? You're asking me all this shit. I'm like, I have no idea. I was just going fast.
Yeah.
It was about 180 when I shut down.
I took that car out one night, and on an I-5, I was living in Hayward that time, California. Took it out on I-5, and I raced a guy, and I left him, obviously. I mean, no challenge at all, but the thing of it is that I was doing 160 with that car. And I don't know if I could have went faster. I didn't want to. But anyway, so I got it home, took it apart after that, and I don't know how I did it. I think I increased the turbo size, or I forget what it was, but it was 750 horse by the time I got done with it.
You ended up rebuilding the bottom end and going 3.7 stroker with it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It was 750 horsepower, and man, it was really, really fast. I mean, it was nothing. I mean, it was very fast on the racetrack, on the street, wherever I took it. It was really fast, and in fact, it was so fast that I had to get somebody who knew how to drive. So I talked to my buddy Lou Larimer, he used to be a roller derby guy back in the 60s. Roller derby was big time in San Francisco. He was part of the Bay Bombers.
Oh yeah, roller derby to road racing, ended up becoming a world champion in SCCA.
Yeah, I know. He was a world champion in his Oldsmobile, for GT1.
Nice.
So I figured, I said, Lou, look, you're really good at this, man. Why don't you race the car for me? I said, okay, I'll do it. He was game for anything. He liked the car and everything, and he went out and took it out to Sears Point and started making laps and getting faster and faster and faster and faster. All of a sudden, I didn't hear from him anymore. I didn't see him anymore. I said, what the hell happened, man?
Went around the carousel.
Huh?
If you know Sears Point, the carousel is that really long, high G corner leading into the back straight. And the G's got to it, and the oil sloshed to one side of the pan.
Yeah, I don't know whether that. I don't think that was really what it was, because it was pretty good at holding the oil pressure. I mean, there's a lot of oil on that pan. I had a big ass pan.
Oh, really? That's what you told me, or
No.
That's what I remember. Maybe I
Yeah,
was.
but I think what it was is just too much power for that crank,
Oh, okay.
because it broke the crank everywhere.
The crank itself snapped.
Huh?
The crank itself snapped.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Crank broke completely. I mean, it had broken in 3 places. So we didn't have much success with that one, but it was pretty good though. It's a pretty fast car.
Well, after that, you ended up getting a new stock block, and you
Oh.
brought it back down to naturally aspirated.
Yeah, and you know, it's pretty amazing. I mean, as long as you take a stock block to the tuner and run race gas, and you can bump them up quite a bit. But I think we had it up to 3. I don't know. What are they? 300 horse normally?
Yeah, they're about 300, 305 stock.
Lift it up to maybe 40 or something like that. You know.
But that was at the tire, though.
But it was so light that car, the guy that bought it from me, he told me that he was winning races down south, and people couldn't believe that the car was stock.
Right, because you had it so light and the chassis is so well balanced with the turbo kit off the front of it.
Oh yeah,
The
that's
weight,
one thing I found. The
yeah.
turbo, especially twin turbos on a 350Z, I think that's a bad idea. Really, I mean, maybe one turbo. Nowadays, you can get away with one and make a lot of power, but
It wouldn't work for a road race car because of the lag.
no. But the thing of it was too heavy. I mean, that turbo was adding a good 70 pounds to the front of the car.
Right, which threw the weight balance way off.
I mean, between I figured it out between the turbos and the what was it, the aftercooler
Right. The intercooler.
and all. I mean,
Is
everything.
that air to air, or did you have a water to air on that one?
It was air to air cooler.
Okay.
But I think but you know, it was a fun car, but I don't know if I overdid it with the turbochargers because it was just too heavy in the front. And
Yeah, I mean, it was a fast fucking car, but driving, like, doing what it was meant to do, road racing, it threw the nose weight off. Just like the 240 that you had. Giant 350 in a road race car is throwing the weight all the way in the nose. Whereas, you know, the turbo kit in the 350Z, that was throwing all the weight because the turbos were hanging off the front, the intercooler, all that other crap you had to put on there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas naturally aspirated, it brings the balance back.
oh yeah,
So it's a much more nimble chassis, and you can go faster in the tight corners than you could.
Yeah.
Where the turbos really made a difference is in the straights, where you could gobble everybody up. And
I mean, you could have. It was an uphill battle, but you could have adjusted it. You know, with sway bar, a lot more sway bar to it, and
yeah, maybe
you know,
a stiffer spring
rates
rate or
and everything.
something.
But still, it never would have reached a really good potential. I mean, it wouldn't have gotten up to what it should have been. You know.
Yeah.
But that, I understand him. I mean, I just drove the car before. I mean, after I put the stock engine back in it, and boy, it felt really good. It really felt good. So, anyway, it got sold, and the guy enjoyed it. He said, "Man, you built me a nice car, man." He had a good time with it. Kept winning.
So what's next? What are we building together in the future?
Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna retire in Thailand with my motorcycle and play, and I'm gonna build up the chopper. I mean, a bobber, You know, not real radical, but it's gonna look nice. And, you know, I enjoy that.
So one of these days we got to get together and build something.
Yeah, well,
Because before now, I mean, it's been all of your projects and my projects. We haven't really come together on anything.
well, you know,
Nice little father-son drag car build, maybe.
well, Lou Larimer, my buddy up there, he's got his championship race car. He's got that car still, and he says he has enough parts to build another car that he would sell. But I'm thinking maybe, you know, we could possibly get a motor from him for that matter. You know, probably a good 800 horsepower engine, naturally aspirated.
For a road race car or a drag car?
Either way,
I think drag car.
yeah.
I think that'd be fun. Just have something we could throw together and start making passes and have some fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be the guy to get it from, right? I mean, the guy really knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah.
Very, very
It
smart.
might be a little expensive to ship a motor all the way to Texas, but
Yeah.
it'd be fun anyway.
Well, like I say, you know, the cheapest way you can do it, the better. Like, get an old car. You know, something. I don't know if you can afford a maybe, you know, a Nova, an old 65 Nova, I think. No,
Those
67 Nova or
Those
something.
are getting expensive.
Are they really?
Yeah, have you seen?
Well, you know, buy
This is
one from an
2020.
old grandma someplace and for cheap. And
That is a rare find. Let's go ahead and end episode 2, and maybe next time we're together we can
okay,
have another Tales from a Bygone Age.
okay. See
Well,
you
thanks for sharing, Dad. We really appreciate it.
later. Okay.
Isn't that awesome? I love talking cars with the guys that lived it in the good old days. So, hey, if you like the video, smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Stick around. We'll have more tales from a bygone age. We'll catch you next time.